Side Story ZA. Episode 1. A Tale of Yarn and Compulsion. On July 22nd, 2025, there was a Pokémon Presents. I watched it, although I didn't expect it to contain anything immediately relevant to me. After all, we've known about the next mainline Pokémon game for over a year. Legends ZA. The sequel to my favorite game in the entire series. It's also the game in which I will give haircuts to dogs in order to fill the gaps in my living Pokédex. But for now, we must bide our time until its release. I had been feeling sick for several weeks. Perhaps that feeling impaired my judgment because I let myself get tangled up in a rather annoying situation. It all started with a purchase.
Whoa, I got a new Pokemon game. I have a feeling this one can be completed pretty fast. I'd have to play this stupid monkey game first. Hello, friend cat. Yeah, I'm embarrassing, it's true. So, a new Pokemon game came out today. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's on cell phones, and it's on Nintendo Switch. It's called Pokemon Friends. This is a game where I think you pretend to have friends. No, it's alright. It's about plushes or something. What I find compelling about it is that it seems like the phone version has dailies, and supposedly the Switch version, you can just play the whole game all at once. And that's the kind of experience that I love, even if it's going to be so simplistic. Sometimes you need a fun little game to play. In a way, it's also the third game in the Nintendo Yarn trilogy. The first game was Kirby's Epic Yarn, the second one was Yoshi's Woolly World, and the third one is Pokemon Friends. I would say this game is probably the weakest out of the three.
The puzzles included in Pokemon Friends are simplistic at first, but they get harder the more you do them, at least until you reach skill level 9 of each puzzle type. There are actually 50 puzzle types if you buy all of the DLC, which, of course I did. In total, the game and all of its DLC costs $34. But is it worth the price? Well, for me, maybe. But for the vast majority of people, I would say no. Even though there's DLC, I'm pretty sure that this is all of the content that this game will ever have. My reasoning is that the base game and 2 distinct DLC packs were all shadow dropped together. And also, if you have all of the content, the total number of different plushes you can make is exactly 150. This is a symbolic number in the history of Pokemon. If I've learned anything from Pokemon Friends, it's that knitting is very easy, very fast, and completely random. To make plushes, you need yarn. You get yarn by playing sequences of puzzles. There are 11 types of yarn that you can be randomly rewarded with, and each type of yarn has a different odds table. You don't actually choose what Pokemon to knit. You just throw some yarn in the machine and hope for the best. Some Pokemon plush are considered rare. They have a 1% or 2% chance of appearing from a standard yarn of their type, and a 2% or 4% chance if that yarn is of high quality, or quote, pretty nice. You get that better yarn by doing all 3 of your puzzles successfully without running out of time. This is very easy to do at first, but it gets difficult as you keep playing. It's true that this game was mostly made for small children, but at their highest difficulties, some of these puzzles were giving me a run for my money. Now, I must confess, I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics with a minor in statistics, but I am not all that fast when it comes to solving puzzles. I like to give myself time. So once the game started getting tricky, I started taking screenshots, staring at them instead of the game, so that I could find the solutions without panicking. This is also how I played the entirety of Paper Mario: The Origami King, which had puzzles instead of regular battles. So eventually I got to the highest difficulty in all 50 puzzle types. But there was a problem. At this point, doing all the puzzles correctly to get pretty nice yarn was taking way too long. So I went about discovering the bare minimum that would be required in order to get regular yarn. Doing nothing or skipping the puzzles would give you a scrap yarn, which, while fun to look at, is only worth 1/5 of a standard yarn. I did some experimenting, and I found out that you can get a standard yarn every time if you do 2/3 of, or almost a whole puzzle, depending on the puzzle, and then you can skip the other 2 puzzles. And with this knowledge in hand, so began my boring grind for yarn. This game has quests, where you give away plush to various people in Think Town. There are some repeatable quests, and they help you rank up the town's level, but there are also unique quests that give you furniture. My ambition was to get Think Town all the way up to its maximum level, which is 10, and then also obtain all of the furniture in the game. Once I did that, all I truly wanted to do was get every plush. The game allows you to consume 2 yarn in order to craft a specific non-rare plush that you already made before. With that ability, I was able to replenish most of the plushes that I gave away during quests. Because rare plushes can't be crafted on demand, I was pretty lucky to have already obtained doubles of every rare plush that I occasionally had to give away. As I mentioned before, there are 11 types of yarn, and as you finish obtaining all of the plushes that come from a certain yarn, they start getting annoying, because getting more of them is useless. Finally, I got all of the Pokemon plush in the game, except for one. Miraidon. It can be crafted using a dragon yarn, and it has a 1% chance of being crafted if you have that yarn. But you only get a dragon yarn something like 1/11 of the time, although that's only an assumption. So the chance of getting a dragon yarn from doing a set of puzzles, and then getting a Miraidon from it, is in the ballpark of 1 out of 1,100. I've shiny hunted before, so I figured that it wouldn't be so bad. But when I started this game, a shiny hunt is not what I thought I signed up for. And so I was unprepared. The odds weren't that bad in the grand scheme of things. It's just that each proverbial roll of the dice takes over a minute and requires some amount of puzzle solving, albeit the same puzzles over and over, which you hopefully memorize the answers to. I'm bored. I wish I could play Donkey Kong Bonanza. I guess if I don't finish this yarn game now, I'm never going to finish it. So, I'm sorry, I don't have time for monkey business. I have to play Pokemon Friends. I trekked on, with a faint hope of tipping the scales in my favor. Maybe if I get 99 of a useless yarn type, they'll stop giving it to me. But sadly, you can have over 100 of each yarn type. And even if you maxed out your yarn, there's no guarantee you wouldn't get more. I ultimately spent more than 70 hours with the game over the course of like 25 days. I worked hard to get over 900 useless yarn, and every dragon yarn I happened to get only brought me disappointment. Pokemon Friends can be a fun game to play, but it is not a fun game to finish. You know, to 100% to get all of the yarn plushes. I have over 900 yarns that I don't need. I just want the dragon yarn. But every time I get one, I use the gacha machine and it's not Miraidon. So what am I gonna do? Time is ticking. I want to play Donkey Kong. I want to play Mario Kart. And I want to be able to play but I have to finish this. Maybe there's a way that I can technically complete this game without trying that hard. I have it. I'm going to use time travel. Not in real life, in the Switch. Come on, future me, explain. Eventually, I did think of a way to tip the scales in my favor, and I basically cheated the gacha mechanic. First, I gathered like 7 dragon yarn in my inventory, and then I backed up my save using the Nintendo Switch Online Cloud Save feature. Then I made it so it wouldn't be overwritten unless I did it manually. Then I put my dragon yarn in the knitting machine, and if Miraidon wasn't there, I would download the backup save data from the cloud and try again. Ah! It's Miraidon! It's Miraidon! It's Miraidon! I'm done! I can play Donkey Kong! This strategy trivialized a lot of the effort I expended to get this far. But in actuality, through this experience I gained a useful tool which I'll be able to use in my journeys ahead. For me, Pokémon Friends is in the same category of game as WarioWare Move It, in the sense that it's a game that took me a long time to 100% due to RNG elements. But over the course of doing it, I gained information about exploits that would allow me to 100% the game much faster if I hypothetically had to do it again. There are no strings on me. I had strings, but you will see I have no strings on me. At least that's what I want to think. This was a long game. I played a lot of hours. This is how many hours I played. That's more than I wanted to. But I did it. It's not a game like Pokemon Sleep or the Pokemon TCG Pocket where like the game goes on forever. It's annoying, but you can get to the end of Pokemon Friends. And that is where I have to give that game a salute. I was able to move on to my next game, and in the end, I was able to also 100% complete Donkey Kong Bonanza. All of that said, I still feel a tiny bit of an obligation to keep doing my dailies in Pokemon Friends for at least a little while longer. I played Pokemon Friends for 25 days, and one of those days was my birthday, and I got to use the special birthday stamp. There's actually only 2 stamps I never used, and that's because I still need to unlock them. You get the Ultra Ball stamp for doing a set of puzzles on 50 different days, and a Master Ball stamp for doing a set of puzzles on 100 different days. Believe me, I tried changing the date on my Switch 2 to get it over with, but it didn't work. Maybe it's possible to do on the Switch 1, but I haven't checked. Anyway, you can skip all of the puzzles, and that's good enough to count. So I do it every day that I remember to. There truly is always another string. Will I play another Pokemon game between now and when Pokemon Legends ZA comes out? I think probably yes, but what it is, I have no idea. Stay tuned, subscribe, put a comment in the comments, and give us a thumbs up. And maybe I'll play another Pokemon game, huh? Yeah? Yeah? And you get to see it. Thank you for watching, though, because this is kind of nonsense, isn't it? But I like it. Hopefully you guys like it, too.
I'll play this game next.
No, not yet!
Okay.
Anyway, that's the end of my story for today. So here's every entry in the Pokemon Plush Pokedex. I didn't see them anywhere else on YouTube, so enjoy!